Saturday will be Alabama's A-Day. I don't want to call it a game because it's not, but it'll be the A-Day practice that we can all go watch at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm going to give you kind of a preview of what to look for in this A-Day game as we get set to go. There I did it. I said game. This A-Day thing, whatever this thing might be. All right, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get this show started. Roll Tide. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, and it's great to see you on the Bama Tailgate Show. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get started. Let's talk a little bit of Alabama football, and let's get into what to expect for the A-Day. It's A-Day. It's not a game. It's a practice, and there's going to be a lot of practice things going on, probably some one-on-one matchups, the things that you would do in practice that aren't going to give your competition a real good idea of what you got on your bench because you don't want these guys transferring out. I guess that's why we're doing it this way. I think eventually, like Coach Prime said at Colorado, would love to have like a real game. I think that eventually this will turn into a situation where teams have real games because there's fan interest there. And I think that that's what matters. Like, what are you giving us? But right now, we're not getting a whole lot. I'm curious to see what this looks like from a just logistics standpoint. Like, what are we doing? Like, where's everybody supposed to be? I know we're going to have some whistles, probably have some guys running around. I mean, it's just going to be a practice, I'm guessing. I'll be surprised if it breaks out into some, to real competition. But the scrimmages have happened behind closed doors. And I guess just that's kind of how things are going to be right now until they set down some rules that basically dictate what's going to happen with, with transfers and NIL and all that stuff. Now, the position groups to keep an eye on, look, let's get right into it. It's the quarterback position. I mean, that's the number one position. And the coaches, Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer, they keep saying that there hasn't been any separation between Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and Keelan Russell. Mack and Russell have been with the first team. Russell's been doing a lot of crazy stuff with the second and third team, meaning he's making a bunch of plays, but he's just out there trying to learn how to play the game at the college level. Eventually, this guy's going to be the quarterback of the team, and that's going to be exciting when he's there, but he's not there yet. I've done the math. I don't know how you would have Austin Mack win this job. I just don't think it'll happen. Now, he's had, from what we've heard, like some really good moments. He's also struggled a little bit. Ty Simpson's been the most consistent. He looks like an SEC quarterback. He's going to give you the best chance to go out there and not make mistakes. And, look, he's a junior that's been around 4 years. So it's his job. He's going to win the job. But I'm curious just to see what they look like throwing the ball. People that have been at practice, or my buddy Clint Lamb's like, hey, the thing that you're going to be impressed by is just how smooth the passes look out of his hand, going downfield, connecting with guys. He's got great ability. And I think that that's an area where Alabama feels very comfortable at the quarterback spot, as long as you don't lose these guys to the transfer portal. So you're not going to know, you're not going to know who wins this job until deep into fall. So don't expect that, but it'd be fun to just kind of see. Now, the second position that I think you're going to really love to watch and just see is wide receivers. And now you're not going to have the two best wide receivers in there, which honestly kind of makes this, to me, a little bit more interesting, right? So if you're not going to have Jeremy Bernard and you're not going to have Ryan Williams, then that means, and both of them are out due to like whatever injuries. I'm sure they could play if it was a real game. But you get to see a lot of these like young and up and coming guys. And it starts with Isaiah Horton, who we hear about constantly. He's the guy that transferred in from Miami, wanted to be closer to home. He was going to be one of their best wide receivers if he had stayed. He's got that we keep talking about. I can't wait to see if we get a little bit of Simpson to Horton, because I keep hearing that is what's going on in practice. And I would love to see that Saturday, right? That's the first thing. Now, the second guy to keep an eye on is Latsier Brooks. He's the Ryan Williams of this year's team already. I mean, people can't stop talking about the plays that this guy's making, the catches. from New Jersey, maybe a little bit underrated at wide receiver, but Bama had him high on their list. He is a tremendous talent, and it's exciting when you kind of have a guy who is turning heads as a true freshman. And we saw it last year with Ryan Williams. And in this offense, these guys aren't afraid to play you. So if he earns a spot, he's going to play, and I think that's really exciting. And that's a position that you guys are going to really love to watch. But there's some other guys. Jalen Mbakwe has made the switch to wide receiver. I want to see what he looks like out there. I liked him in the defensive backfield. I liked him as a corner. And who knows if maybe eventually he does both. But Jalen Hale coming back from an injury, Cole Adams coming back from an injury, and maybe a Rico Scott type guy. There's a bunch of players that, Derek Meadows, another guy in there that I can't wait to just get my eyes on, see, how do they look running? How do their hands look? I mean, you can't gauge a lot from this, but at least you get a visual, like a upfront visual of what basically somebody looks like and what they can do. Now, the offensive line is another area that I think all of us are kind of looking at and going, okay, if the team's going to be successful this year, it comes down to the offensive line. And you don't have your best guy because he's going to the NFL. That's Tyler Booker. So now you don't have him. Who's going to replace him? That's a big question. Is it Cam Dewberry, the transfer from Texas A&M, Gino Vandermark, who transferred in a couple years ago? He's got a season under his belt. Olas Alaman, I think I just butchered the guy's name, but he's another dude that Bama got a big time, recruit and won him over schools like Georgia and other places. Could he make a push there? That to me is really interesting because left guard is such an important position for Alabama. Wilkin Formby, we've talked a lot about him on the right side of the line. I don't think we're going to see him. Caden Proctor is another guy that we expect is going to be a big part of the offensive line side. Let me say that I think we will see Formby, but I don't think we're going to see Proctor. So, what does the offensive line look like? And, who's out there in what position? How do they look? Are they even going to give us that? And that's another thing. Like when you talk about these position groups, like, are they going to send out what we expect to be or what they've had as the starters? Or are they just going to randomly put people out there to throw us curves? I know with Clint Lamb on Cover Crimson, and I know a lot of you guys watch that. He's constantly trying to figure out the math, so he'll go back and look at everybody's videos from practice just to see like what the alignment is. And that's interesting to me too. How's that going to play out? What's that look like? And, and will Alabama kind of be in that same position with the offensive line? But he feels like, and I've heard other people say this too, that the offensive line potentially could be really good this year. And that they have a lot of pieces. And you talk about a recruiting class that brought in some very talented people, Lloyd and Carroll being two of the ones at the top of the list. But there's other guys, too, that can play. How's that going to pan out? The more competition you have, though, at that spot, the better off you're going to be. And the team's not going to have success if they don't have a good offensive line. Let's flip it to the other side of the line, the defensive line. And this is an area where Alabama, I think, is a little bit thin, but also has some really good options. I mean, you're talking about two guys that should have huge years, Tim Keenan and LT Overton. Both of those guys could have gone to the NFL. They decided to stick around. It gives you some leadership and obviously some real force up front. And you got to have those guys. Now you look around and you're like, okay, what else does that mean? Well, Edric Hill and Jeremiah Beeman are two guys that we talked a lot about. Steve and Bob and Bawa. Did I say that wrong? Yeah, I think but you know who I'm talking about, the junior college guy. He's coming in, like, it gives you some depth. And somebody that can make some noise up front. James Smith's another guy. And don't forget about the guy that transferred in from Florida State, Kelby Collins. I mean, he's originally from Alabama, and then he comes to Tuscaloosa. He's a guy I'm looking forward to seeing. What does he look like in that Alabama uniform, out of that Gators jersey, and making some headlines there, right? But Keon Keeley, we've talked about Keelan Keeley. We want to see this guy. He came in with a bunch of hype. Jordan Renaud, another dude that you say, hey man, could this guy possibly have a big year? He's going to be on the field, right? Cavante Henry, another guy, that's kind of been running around with the Bandits, but what does that look like too? Who's going to be in a black jersey and who's going to be out there? These are opportunities though for guys like, Beeman and Smith and Hill and, and Collins and the guys that you haven't seen before to get out on the field and make an impact and be, basically just players that could help Alabama in the future. And I can't wait to see those guys. So again, we don't know what are we going to have the matchup like the offensive line against the defensive line? Is there a drill we're going to see? I mean, are they going to play a little bit of football? I don't know. But the defensive line's an area where if Alabama's going to have a championship season, those guys got to be good. And they have a lot of depth and experience there. Now, the secondary, that is probably the group that I've got the most confidence in. And we keep talking about Bray Hubbard. What a star he was. When Keon Sabb went down last year, Bray Hubbard was the guy that stepped up and was amazing. And it didn't take long to see that this guy brings a lot to the table. He's really good. Sabb was out at the end of the year. He's going to be back. So they'll have those two guys at the cornerback spot. Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown. You got other guys that can contribute there. Obviously, everybody keeps talking about Dijon Lee. I mean, just, seeing him with the first team, true freshman, looks the position, looks great. Zay Mincy, another guy that we talk a lot about. Cameron Calhoun, the transfer from Utah, want to see him out on the field. So the secondary to me is an area where Bama's got a ton of depth. You hope that you don't lose anybody to the portal. I mean, that's something you got to worry about. But, even, players at the Husky position that you want to see, those nickelback type guys or nickel defenders, whatever you want to say, Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. Hey, dad's great. Can you go out there and get it done? Deshaun Jones. I'm going to be looking for these guys and saying to myself, okay, I can't wait to see Mustard, Dijon Lee. But then and after that, I'm like, that's an area where that where it sits right now, Bama's going to be great in the secondary. I think that's the one. And maybe the other group on the other side of the ball is wide receiver, where you feel really, really good about what you got there. But you got to get those guys the ball. That secondary is stacked. And I'm sure other schools know that too. So I don't know how much we'll really be able to see of these guys, but that's something for Alabama fans to be excited about. So it's 8-a game Saturday when it's noon at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll be there. We're actually going to do our show from Innisfree right after, probably maybe like towards the end of that thing. So if you're in town, swing by and say hi to us, and we'll hang out with you then. But thanks for being on the show. I want to tell you a couple things. First off, we got a great deal going right now. New Life Art, promo code Bama Tailgate, and it is 25% off until Monday. So take advantage of that, 25% off with our promo code Bama Tailgate, just like the hat says, just like the top of the screen. At the beginning, when you go in there and you're going to pimp out your cave with some great Daniel Moores, you're going to be like, whether it's maybe you need that Ryan Williams from this year, whatever. Use that promo code Bama Tailgate. Where'd you hear about it? Bama Tailgate. When you check out Bama Tailgate, and take advantage of 25% off. So one of the best deals we're going to run this year, and that's at newlifeart.com. And then finally, we're always presented by Pearl River over in Philadelphia. We're going to be back there again soon to do some shows. We love being there. We just hung out with those guys Tuesday, but the Azaleas, the Oaks, two amazing golf courses there at Dancing Rabbit. You don't need a membership. It's like the Augusta that you can actually play. And then outside of that, the slot game, if you like slots, the slots that they have at Pearl River at Golden Moon and Silver Star are the best that you're going to find. They've invested heavily in those. They're great. They're new. Awesome payouts. Check it out. Those as well. If you're into that, it's only an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours from Birmingham, 2 hours and change, but it's a short drive. It really is a fun place. They got everything you need. The sports book, Timeout Sports Lounge, all the windows to go, whether you want to do in person or you want your own kiosk, they got that. And then 21 big screen TVs, a full bar, all that stuff. So Pearl River Resort, we appreciate them. We appreciate you guys. Roll Tide, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
To Pearl River Resort.